Oh my gosh. Fashion is a pretty unique art form in that the artists have to produce work at an incredible pace, showing at least twice a year. Most designers show 4 times a year: men's, women's, spring, summer, and then fall, winter. There are plenty of designers that show 8 times per year if you count the more market-driven collections like pre-fall and cruise and stuff. Karl Lagerfeld oversaw the release of over 300 collections in his life. Ray Kawakubo of Comme des Garçons' oeuvre expands over 4 Fashion Week calendared brands, each showing twice a year, some of which have been doing so since 1981. I don't know the official number of shows that she's done in her life, but it's a metric ton. Real quick, I'm making this episode because I actually need your help deciding about something. I really cannot make my mind up, so after you are done watching the video, please comment below so you can help me know how to feel. How should we judge the merit of runway shows? How should we determine if these are good or bad? Because like if you've been into fashion for any length of time, you've gotten hyped for a new show by a designer that you love, you watch it, and then you're disappointed. Whether they tried something new and failed, or they just stayed in the same place and it got stale, it is an inevitability that at some point, with the sheer quantity of shows that are coming out all the time, that you're gonna watch something by someone you like and it's not gonna be good. So as far as determining the quality of a runway show, I feel like most of us just have a I'll know it when I see it type of idea about this, but I feel like we need some kind of rubric as to how we determine quality. It doesn't have to be like an exact rule book set of rules for everything, but we need some kind of general guideline that allows us to have some kind of consistency when we're determining the quality of not a designer's work overall, but of a specific runway show. I'm recording this while Fashion Week is going on, and I very badly want to go look at the new Junya Watanabe show, but I can't yet until I finish this, so we're gonna hurry through this. I've heard that the new Junya goes very fucking hard. We're sort of in a Junya Watanabe golden era. The last show that he put out, the last women's show, was the best show that I've ever seen in my life, and I think this next one's supposed to be pretty good as well. Dang, this is the first Paris Fashion Week that I have not attended in a long time. I'm gonna make you a deal. If you join the Patreon, then I will give you the benefits of joining the Patreon. I will give you all of the benefits of the tier of the Patreon that you join. For real though, if you get value out of what we do here, out of thinking publicly about runway shows and fashion as art, I ask that you please support with the amount that reflects the benefit that you get from it. Let's shift gears. The world has changed a lot since the internet, and among other things, the internet has introduced this environment of quantity over quality. Usually we say the opposite of that, but what I am saying is quantity, more of something, over quality, better of something. Virgil Abloh, who I like the work of and respect a great deal, has this video where he is interviewing, or he's like giving guidance to a young designer. And he asks that designer, what else are you working on besides this collection? And the designer's like, I'm just working on this collection. And Virgil said something really interesting. He was like, if you're not working on 10 things at once, then you are undermining the impact that this one project can have, because those 10 things will all hold each other up higher than the one thing can hold itself up on its own. Essentially, he was arguing for quantity over quality. And everybody, consumers and designers, they all love talking about this idea of quality over quantity. I'm more about quality and stuff, but that doesn't seem to be what the market responds to. It's a bummer, but every fashion designer does partake in some way in this process of quantity over quality. Not my fave, you may say, not my fave, hoping that I won't provide evidence. Even if a designer only shows twice per year, spring, summer, and fall, winter, and even if they have a fairly small collection, we'll say 35 looks per season, 70 looks per year, and even if we say that half of each collection are just dresses, so very few garments, and then, 20 of those looks are trousers, a top, and an outerwear of some kind, and the remaining 15 looks will be as minimal as possible, just pants and a shirt. And even if we say that the models are barefoot, no accessories, that is still a total of 125 garments that need to be made by that brand per year. Hold on to that number because we're going to come back to it in a second. Most designers are not just designers. In fact, almost none are. They have many other responsibilities. On average, designers are lucky if 20% of their time is actually designing. If they're a young brand, it will definitely be less than 10% of their time. So let's average that out and say 15% of this hypothetical designer's time is spent designing. Assuming that they work 6 days a week and take 2 weeks off per year, that comes out to 45 days per year for designing. Okay, so if you work a full 9 hours per day, that is about 3 hours per garment that you get on average to design. And I mean, of course, no designer on earth actually works like that. I have seen how dozens and dozens of designers work, and all of them are radically different, and none of them are like that. Most of them that I've seen, their day looks like this. Pretend this is a sewing machine and that this is the one day a month where I've allotted for me to have time at the sewing machine actually doing the work of making clothes. Hey, I'm your new employee that is late again. If you don't micromanage me, I will do absolutely nothing today. Hey, boss, there's a note from our factory that says sorry, and also instead of sending us shoes, they sent us gravel. Like crushed up rocks. And I'm a third character who is off camera, and I'm here to tell you that there's a rat infestation in your studio. But yeah, I mean, just breaking down the needs of the business just as far as the clothes are concerned, just the garment design is concerned, 3 hours per garment, that's all you have. That kind of helps us to understand that there's just a lot of gaps that need to be filled, and as a result of that, there's gonna be a lot of filler. That is a bummer. For the record, I do not think that like that's cool and awesome and we should all be cool with that. The whole reason that we're here, I mean, if clothes were just a commodity that you use to like keep you warm, then who gives a shit? Just go buy a shirt from a store and wear the shirt. But because we are all here and we take interest in this as an art form and a hobby for a lot of us, there needs to be something more, but we should understand that designers are under this enormous, insane pressure to do a lot of things with almost no time. I hate to approach this by talking about the way that people react online, but that seems to be the most relevant sticking point for this video. I'm conflicted here. Because on the one hand, I think that the internet overall is far too reactionary, and fashion people especially so. Overall, I do love that about us. We're a group of flagrantly extra weirdos. We should never stop doing that. But we often treat very special designers as disposable. And I guess from the audience's perspective, technically they are disposable. If you're just watching from your phone, there will always be some new young designer to take anyone's place. So yeah, get rid of them. But I do think that's a shame. I think that oftentimes we're a little too reactionary, a little too quick to throw away designers that are really special. But then on the other hand, there's a lot of leniency that's given to designers that are considered to be classic. Kind of like designers that are almost tenured and can do no wrong. And in my opinion, what this results in is a lot of stores that are filled with repeat product that is incredibly boring, and a lot of very specific compliments of runway shows like, oh my gosh, I just loved the shirt in look 15. When of course anybody with eyes can see that the entire show was as boring and phoned in and forgettable as the last 15 shows that designer did. But oh, it's classic, so we just give them a pass forever. As a group of fashion fans, we seem to be at once too forgiving and too reactionary. So what is the deal here? I think the deal is just that this is really complicated. And I tend to think best in questions, so I'm going to ask some questions here with the hope that maybe you all can offer me some wisdom about how to approach determining the quality of specific runway shows. Is a designer only as good as their last collection? And hey, look, when I'm showing you runway shows while we're talking about this, I'm not saying that these designers are part of this problem or whatever. I'm just showing you cool runway footage. Okay, so is a designer only as good as their last collection? I think most fashion fans would say no to this question. The complicated part is that companies these designers work for do feel that they are only as good as their last collection solely because of sales figures. I mean, in case anyone was confused, if the collection doesn't sell, the company is fucked. Even at the established houses owned by LVMH or Kering, even with the added security of a holding company, a bad collection makes the folks in charge start to ask, is this the beginning of the end for this one? So is a designer only as good as their last collection? I think most of us would say no, but the boss says yes. Is a designer only as good as the best idea they've ever had? When you design something that's iconic, something that's so effective at what it does that there's no denying its quality, something like the tabby boot, the baguette, the Burberry trench, does that secure a designer's legacy indefinitely? For example, Giorgio Armani has enjoyed decades of being a global household name. Like, it does not matter if you're a cricket fan in Bangladesh, a Mormon in Ohio, or a Turkish oceanographer in the Arctic, you have absolutely heard of Giorgio Armani. Okay, but you and me, we are fashion fans. When was the last time that you personally watched a Giorgio Armani show? For me, it was when I was researching this episode 4 months ago. Prior to that, I had never watched it one time. Decades ago, Armani had a great idea, but his work has evolved very little after that great idea. What do we do with that? I mean, it's easy to say, just throw him out. But something about that feels like it does diminish the once-in-a-generation change that he brought to the fashion industry. Like, he shook this shit up so hard that people who hate fashion know about his work. How do we celebrate that achievement without offering empty praise to something that might not always be worthy of praise here in the present? Just to qualify, I have not seen the new Giorgio Armani show. It might be absolutely incredible with some wonderful ideas that are also shaking things up really hard. I just haven't looked at it yet. So I'm not necessarily saying it's bad, but you get the idea, hopefully. Should a designer only be judged based on the merits of their final product? I mean, I've been collecting fashion for over 11 years very slowly. I have product by a wide variety of brands. I always favor getting something by a brand that I've never gotten before over repeat purchases from the same brand. And I've sampled from a lot of different brands, and I can tell you that almost every brand in the world, every single one, misses very consistently with their products. You are lucky if you see the entire collection from a single designer. You are lucky if you really, really love 20% of it. And usually the rest of it is either just okay or flat out bad. That's no one's fault. It's either just not going to be for you or it's going to be filler, because there just is a lot of filler. My only real progress with these questions is to take the art and look at it on its own terms. If I'm expecting a T.S. Eliot poem when I read a haiku and I hate the haiku, then we don't have a bad haiku, I have an expectation problem. Different designers work in different ways, and the good ones are not all good at the same thing. I mean, if you were to judge a kid's super runway the same way that we judge a collection by the row, we're all going to have a super bad time. And like, even two brands that aren't polar opposites. If you try to judge a Walter Van Beirendonck collection the same way that we judge a Jean-Paul Gaultier collection, we would be making a mistake there. I don't know what the whole answer to these questions I've posed here are, which, again, I need to hear from you all on that. But I think that we do have to ask the art, what are your goals? And then, as the viewer, we then get to follow that question up. Remember, the first question is, art, what are your goals? And then we follow that up with, did they accomplish those goals well? And how difficult were those goals to begin with? That's as far as I've gotten, is those three questions for determining the quality of a single runway show in isolation. Because if a designer comes to us with a new collection saying, hey guys, remember that thing that I did 20 years ago? Well, guess what? I made it in green. Then we would say, yes, they met their goal completely and perfectly, but the goal was very, 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 very easy. And if a designer's goal is, I want to propose a new grammar for androgyny. If you are non-binary, I am offering you this as your lifelong uniform. Then we, the viewers, would say, wow, that is an unbelievably challenging goal. They may not have met their own goal 100%, but the goal was so lofty that we should consider giving them points just for trying. And then the dialogue begins on whether you or you with others deciding if that collection was in fact good, and more importantly, why it was good or not good. Again, I don't fully know the answer here. I feel like my job primarily is to ask provoking questions and to tell people what I see. So at this point, I have laid out what I've seen, and I've asked a lot of questions, and I'm hoping that you all can help me reach a conclusion with this. I know that when YouTubers do this and when writers do it, when anybody does this, it always seems kind of like this is sort of a way to easily tie things up. I have completely changed my mind about videos like this after reading comments. I really do have a great deal of respect for you all and what you think and how you all process information. So I'm really hoping to get some guidance and wisdom here. Tell me what you think. Peace.